Welcome to the topic where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, and our reach into the community. I'm Todd Duplantis. Over the spring break, Houston Community College faculty moved all instruction to an online format. For many of our faculty, this was their first experience with online instruction. Economics professor Richard Gosselin stepped forward with an idea for leveraging an expertise of veteran online instructors, and he now joins us for a look behind the scenes of what happened before we all returned and started in this new online environment. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, so much has happened really in the last 30, 35 days. We went away, didn't seem that long ago, but we're over a month ago. We went away for a spring break. We had an idea that things may be changing over the spring break because parts of the city were starting to shut down. The Houston Rodeo had shut down due to COVID-19. When did you start realizing things were changing and they were changing rapidly?
Yeah, well, you're going to be amused by this, but I'm a big basketball fan, and I was tuning into the radio, and I heard that an NBA game was canceled, and it was just out of the blue. I said, wait a second, something wrong here. I wonder why it was canceled. And then we found out later it was because one of the players had tested positive. And that was like a red flag right there, because the NBA doesn't do things like that on the fly for no good reason. And of course, even earlier than that, with Rice University's closing for a week. But I got a call actually from Ruben Durant at Central College as the senior web developer there. And he said, hey, Rich, could you come by on Friday because we're going to do some training with Kaltura Live Room. And I said, sure, I'll be there. And I went there. And when I got to look at the product, I said, this could be a product that could help us if we wind up transitioning online. I didn't imagine that it was going to be the entire semester. I thought it would be temporary. But I said, we better at least be prepared. So that's how it started. It started with an innocent phone call, a little bit of basketball and Ruben Durant.
I remember that exact moment. I was sitting at my house. It was during the evening when they announced the NBA had canceled their season and they were going to play one more game. I think it was in Detroit or something like that. And they canceled that game, and I remember hearing that and it kind of shocked me. And that was the same day, I believe, or right around the time the rodeo had shut down for good and decided they weren't going to reopen. And we all started thinking, I know this, the college had a task force that had been established really a couple of weeks or weeks before the whole COVID-19 incident happened and before operations changed. And the task force was looking at ways of contingency plans. How were you able to get integrated with them? Because I know as they move forward, they had to rely on your expertise.
To tell you the truth, I mean, since we were already in spring break, it hadn't really occurred to me to reach out to anybody, institutionally. So it wasn't like I wasn't trying to involve anybody, but I said, well, let's just see what we can do about creating some kind of lounge, virtual lounge, where faculty members could get together. And so as not to confuse it with the name that was already in existence, I just called it Faculty Video Lounge. And I invited members of the department and sent out modest invitations to a group of people. And it was just a small amount of interest, maybe just a couple dozen faculty members. And then I posted on the listserv, the DE listserv, and that's when it caught on. And sure enough, within about 24 hours, there were 100 folks inside the lounge, which I thought, hey, this is great, even if it doesn't grow any bigger than that. But it grew a lot bigger than that.
And tell me what the Faculty Video Lounge is and what it was intended to be. I imagine just like Teacher's Lounge in the old school days, correct?
That's exactly right. A place to share ideas. The original intent was really a modest one, a place just to get together. Hopefully, folks could hop on WebEx or hop on to Kaltura Live Room and just chat about issues involving online instruction. And it was going to be kind of informal. And then I realized, especially when Norma Perez had announced that there were a good close to 1,500 faculty who had no online presence for mostly good reasons, because those were courses that weren't really meant to be taught online, especially in workforce, like with welding and machinery and electrical work, things like that. And so I said, well, hey, what can we do to actually help faculty in a practical way? Let's do some 1-hour trainings. And we figured 1 hour, that won't hurt anybody. And so that first week, maybe I think we had a couple of dozen, training hours in week number one. And week number one, mind you, was before we were even supposed to report back to back to. And so when week two rolled around, remember we were only going to be gone for those 2 days. We were going to be on campus for 2 days, and then we were going to resume duties online that following. And then, of course, the chancellor made the announcement we weren't going back to the campus at all. And I think by then the writing was on the wall, and we all kind of got with the program and realized what to do. So I sent out basically an email trying to cast a very wide net to bring in as many, I call them Canvas power users.
Yeah.
Folks that really had been experienced in using Canvas to come on board and see what they could do to help out on various topics.
What was your experience in the past? How did you become a video expert with these video conferencing and being able to train the faculty? What is your expertise in this, and when did that start?
Well, it's kind of funny. It's one of these on-the-job training things. It's not like I went and got a certification on it or anything. It was one of these things that was, built out of necessity. I'd say a good 20 years ago is when I really started experimenting with doing video. There were a number of folks that were formative in helping me think about these issues. One of them is a retired faculty member. His name is Roger Boston, who taught computer science here. In fact, he was the only endowed chair at HCC. You may remember him. And that's how I got started with Camtasia, recording little mini videos. He said, Rich, you really need to reach out to people in a personal, human way. And here's a computer scientist talking about this. I thought, hey, that's cool. So he's the one that got me excited. And then, of course, the technology's evolved tremendously where we can start, being a lot more effective in what we do.
Yeah, the technology really has taken off for us. I mean, that was one of the key things that we were able to get online with HCC TV and doing our programmings remotely, because we had the technology all in place with you guys using Kaltura and then also WebEx. So having those tools in place, I imagine, worked very well for what you were willing to do, especially after you met with Ruben Duran.
Absolutely. And I think one of the blessings in all this, and many faculty members may not recognize it, that we had choice. And the fact that we had choices wound up being a great advantage to the college, because it means that faculty members could move to the platform they were most comfortable with. And it turns out not everybody's using WebEx, not everybody's using Kaltura. It's about a 50-50 split. We did a little survey of students and got about 1,300 students responding in the survey. That's still being worked on. Laura Williamson is helping us out with that. She's drawing up a report as we speak right now, literally. And that was a great advantage, because when Kaltura got hit with a server problem, and, Dell, I think it was Dell Computers was the one that was hosting the servers, they had to send out an SOS, and Amazon Web Services came to the rescue to help them with the server problem. But meanwhile, we had WebEx. So a lot of our trainers and even faculty were able to go to WebEx, create a quick link when the new Kaltura was down, and we had a backup plan. So that was great.
So these power Canvas users that you were talking about, these are folks that kind of just stepped up and were ones that, did you have to designate them? It sounded like it was like an ad hoc thing where they all came forward.
It was kind of an ad hoc thing. So what I did is I just went into Microsoft Forms, created a 2-question survey. I said, faculty are not going to be in the mood for filling out a long survey. Just make it a 2-question survey. Would you be willing to serve? What's your name? That was the end of it. And, Faculty Forms gathers all that data really well. It's all internal, so I knew that we were only HCC people replying. And then I said, what areas do you think you could volunteer for? And I listed a whole host of things: quiz authoring, video production, managing discussions, grading papers, the whole 9 yards. And folks just started volunteering. I couldn't believe it. And right now, I think we have 95. We probably have more volunteers than I can handle. I didn't think we would get to a point where we are right now, where this week we're offering 71 hours of instruction this fall. Wow. 71 separate courses, starting, believe it or not, as early as 7 in the morning. The last one last night ended at 10 p.m. And he was a brand new guy that came on there. And he had 7 people show up at 9 o'clock at night to talk about how to make effective PowerPoint presentations and how to use Kaltura Media. So this week, we also have extended it to help out our adjunct faculty members to do some sessions on Saturday morning. So we got 3 people who volunteered to come up, step up to the plate and do some work Saturday morning for our adjuncts that work all day.
We're talking with Richard Gosselin. Your day job's as an economics professor here at HCC, but we all know you do so much more, and you've been very instrumental in getting our faculty online and teaching in this new environment. We're going to take a short break here on the topic. When we return, we'll have more with Richard Gosselin. I'm Todd Duplantis.
Meet Wally. He's a single dad. He's also a role model for his 5-year-old son, going back to school with him. This time, Wally's going to Houston Community College for a second career. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
Meet Lisa. When she's not moving to a Zydeco beat, she's making moves towards a better job with a nursing degree from Houston Community College. Ça c'est bon, Lisa. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
Welcome back to the topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. We're talking about this new online environment we're living in right now. You know, when HCC took a break, we went off for spring break, and then all this COVID-19 thing started unraveling and happening across the nation. Things were getting shut down. There was task force in place, and some folks at HCC had an idea of what we would be going through. But realistically, when we left for spring break, many of us never returned to the buildings. And we started, literally, our faculty started teaching online within a span of about 2 weeks. Economics professor at HCC, Richard Gosselin, I mentioned earlier, he wears a lot of hats around here at HCC. But Richard, you were very instrumental in getting our faculty up to speed on training online. You know, this we talked about this earlier in the last segment, but really, you guys had about 2 weeks to get the faculty ready, and I don't think people understand how big of a task that was, considering normally it would be a 6-week course to train faculty for online instruction.
I think the fact that we had faculty from a wide range of disciplines really helped out big time. That it wasn't just academic faculty, workforce. I'm just looking at the list here, and I was really just impressed by it. I mean, manufacturing, engineering, industrial electricity, philosophy, economics, government history, you name it. I mean, the list is pretty long. This week alone, we have 30 instructors that are serving as faculty trainers.
That's incredible, and everybody brings their expertise to the table, and it sounded like you had a number of folks who stepped forward as these power Canvas instructors, these power users, who are really stepping forward to help out others to bring them up to speed for that. I think it was April or was it March the 23rd when we had to start the online instruction?
Yeah, correct. So it was delayed to March 30th, but yeah, we were all gearing up that it would actually be March 23rd. And of course, we got a little bit of a reprieve and a little bit of an extension when we realized the monumental task that was in front of us. And that's when the executive team said, okay, we need a little extra time for faculty. And faculty was very grateful for that, being able to have that extra time and the difference.
What are the most common concerns of the faculty who are brand new? Because you mentioned earlier, a lot of our faculty had never really taught online, hadn't really gone in that direction yet, but bam, they're doing it all of a sudden.
And I think the main concern is trying to, as much as possible, replicate the environment that they had in the classroom. And of course, you can't do it perfectly, but you still want to give the student the experience that, hey, I still am getting the quality education that I've always been accustomed to in Houston Community College. And I think because our faculty is so passionate about that was their main concern. And I think we were able to allay a lot of their fears about that. And part of it is because the college planned well. We had good technology in place. Yes, it was not expected that we were going to have this kind of stress on the system. But in the end, I think it performed admirably. And even when there were glitches, we were able to recover and we had backup plans. So that was the biggest thing. The faculty were concerned, can we still do the job and still deliver the goods to students? That was the biggest concern.
You established something early on called the Virtual Faculty Video Lounge. Revisit what that was and what are some of the ideas, the collaborations that came out of that from having the faculty lounge?
I think that the sheer fact that we had such a wide variety of faculty from so many different disciplines really made it a very rich experience. In particular, we had some folks from industrial electricity. Walter Adams, for example, stepped up to the plate and showed us some manipulatives, some things that he had gotten from Home Depot of all places to show how to build a circuit board. And then also Ravi from computer science really brought tremendous expertise with respect to WebEx. And now a lot of faculty feel a lot more comfortable because of what he was able to do for the faculty.
Yep.
And it's a shame that I can only mention a handful of people because there's 30 of them, but there was so many people from the early stages. David White in history who stepped up to help faculty with how to deal with plagiarism. Because a lot of faculty members were worried about that. What am I going to do now? What about exam security? There were just so many little pain points that came along. And I think the calming influence that a lot of our presenters had helped the faculty feel less anxious about it. Because we really assembled a team, and it was just good fortune that people that came forward generously with their time, without questioning, without counting the cost in terms of their own schedule. And the very fact that they were pulling 12, 14-hour days is a testament to that, you know?
Yeah, it really is. There were a lot of folks working extra time over the spring break and beyond. You know, sooner or later, we're going to get back to some normalcy in our life. We're hoping sooner. Let's say by the fall, we're back in the buildings and hopefully back to delivering education in the classroom. What do you see we've learned from this? And do you think we've had a shift where we're going to be doing more online delivery of education than we've ever done before?
Yeah, I think what we've learned from this is that this platform of online learning can really be a very rich experience. When you have dedicated faculty who are willing to get the job done, it can really be quite interactive. It can be very engaging. And through the use of the technology and the pedagogical expertise of our faculty, that's the biggest thing. Part of the reason why I felt comfortable relying on my faculty to do this work is they're the pedagogical experts in their subject area. And they're people in their departments and in their divisions and their centers of excellence would know best how to do the work in physics or the work in materials science or the work in or industrial electricity or government or economics or history. You know, the list is so long. English, we had folks stepping up in English to help with grading papers electronically. How do you do this electronically and do it quickly? It was just amazing. And I think we're going to come back even stronger, not just in our online courses, but even our face-to-face classes are going to be richer because they're going to be this complementary aspect to it.
Richard Gosselin, we appreciate you joining us here in the topic. It certainly was an incredible task you guys were able to accomplish, getting our faculty ready for online education. And we're living in that world right now. We're hoping things may get back to normal, but we're at least here right now. And we're very grateful for all you've done over the past few months. I've had several people reach out to me and say, you got to get Richard Gosselin on one of your shows. I said, we're working on it. We're working on it. So the word is getting around. Your efforts are very appreciated.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I'm grateful to the team that we've assembled and the 30 some odd faculty members that came forward. There's no way one person could possibly do this. So it makes me really proud to be a faculty member at Houston Community College.
We're proud to have you here, Richard. Thanks for joining us on the topic. And thank you for being here on the show. Of course, if you want to listen to the audio versions of any of our podcasts, you can download them at hccs.edu/podcasts. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts. You can watch us on Facebook, on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our channel. For the topic on HCC TV and online, I'm Todd Duplantis. See you next time.